How to write an estimate for construction. Have you ever wondered what are the best methods in being able to produce an estimate? How are you going to put that together? Well, that's what we will be discussing in this episode of How Do You Write a Construction Estimate? Have you been struggling with how to write an accurate estimate? What goes into an estimate? Where are the places that you're going to look for the information necessary to build a comprehensive estimate? These are all things that we're going to have to understand and work through together in the next few minutes as I give you the secrets to developing a construction estimate. So, I'm not going to lie. One of the most valuable things that you can come up with in understanding how to develop an estimate is your construction experience. But I want to assure you, you don't have to have construction experience to be able to start a construction estimate. You have to have confidence and worthiness and know your ability in order to be able to calculate quantities for material, labor, and hours and equipment, understanding the difference between rental equipment and owned equipment. All of these are going to play into you being able to develop a foundational base for developing an estimate. Then we're going to use our construction experience to identify all of those areas outside influences used to be able to fill in the blanks. Now, it's not easy. Many of us have lots of years in construction and lots of experience, and we still don't have all of the answers. But this is why it's so important to be able to lean on a mentor or be able to shadow underneath someone who does have construction experience. So once you develop the baseline and the foundation for developing an estimate, that you can then ask them specific questions about what else might need to be considered. This is a great opportunity to be able to bring people from the field in to start assisting in the development of an estimate, which may also develop the groundwork of them being able to succeed into an estimating position. One of the first things we're going to want to do is start gathering information. So we're going to look at the contract. We're going to look at the specifications. We're going to look at the drawings. Within those drawings, we're going to look at details, sections, maybe some general notes, maybe even identify the specific address of the project. Is that address in a high traffic area? Is that address in a rural zone? Because those all will have cost impacts and time impacts to your project. You're going to want to know the available workforce. Who in that area is going to be able to perform the work that you're looking to have done? So if it's in a rural area, maybe there's not a skilled plumber in that particular area. And so you have to go to the next town, which is 40 miles away. Where I grew up, there happens to be a huge mountain that's over 8,000 elevation that has to be crossed. And in the storms of winter, it is a difficult maneuver. Understanding your workforce is going to be critical. What if you are in a rural area and there's no specified skilled labor in that particular area? What if you have an HVAC school project on a modernization and there is no HVAC contractor in your particular area? Then you may have to go 40 miles away, which means now we have to consider travel time, travel cost, potential hotels for those individuals, and that all needs to be placed in our bid. We need to be able to protect ourselves in knowing and understanding the exposure to costs based off of where our project is located. Once we've gathered most of this information, then we need to start organizing it. Now, usually when we're organizing something, we're going to be able to organize it in big plots or what we call assemblies. Those assemblies are going to have tasks and activities within them that are recognizable to that assembly. So for instance, I would have foundation footings, and that would be an assembly that would include the rebar, the concrete, the pouring of the concrete, any labor involved, and all of that would accumulate underneath that assembly. Now, the longer that you're in construction, you'll see that it's hard to keep all of that organized. And so we're going to use something called a work breakdown structure. It's also referenced as a WBS. And in this work breakdown structure, we typically are going to formulate it after something that most of us use, the CSI master format, but your company may have their own code or their own system that they've put in place in order to be able to help you locate and find information later. So the reason for this is in that assembly of footing foundation, we're going to be pouring concrete, but if sometime I want to know how much concrete I poured, then I would be able to use the work breakdown structure of that line item and filter that out in order to be able to see how much concrete was poured for that particular project. That's something that I might want to use later in a tool that we call historical data, but we won't go into that today. Once we've been able to break things down into sections or assemblies that make sense for our particular project, then we're going to want to look at the opportunity of developing repeatable systems and processes. So this is where, if especially I'm doing a type of work that's similar over and over, why keep recreating the same wheel? I'm going to build templates. I'm going to provide opportunities for myself to take shortcuts in the development of my estimate. These templates are going to be things that I can use in a diverse software programming like Excel, which can transfer information easily into other software systems. Depending on what type of software system your company uses will mean that that's the type of information and features of that software that you're going to have to become familiar with. But for the most part, most of these estimating softwares have a very functional base that is very similar across all of the softwares. Once we've identified our templates, then we're going to start adding things to it that are specific to our company. What kind of adjustments do we want to make? What kind of markup? What is the percentage of that markup? Where do we want to hold our contingency? Being able to identify all of these items and put them in our templates is going to give us more control over being consistent with our estimation. Now, we've all seen those estimates on a piece of yellow pad scrap paper, and I am going to right now tell you that is not acceptable. Don't do that. We want to be able to develop professional estimates because this is showing the professional aspect of your company. This is like wearing the dinner jacket when you're going out to dinner. So this is what's going to get you jobs in the future of making sure that those estimates look professional, that they're clear, they're accurate, they're concise, they're easy to understand, but then they also are able to be used as a valuable tool for you and your company when you're looking for information or historical data within those estimates by leaning on that work breakdown structure. Well, we've learned that when you can put in repeatable systems and that system is successful and you can have repeatable success, I will tell you that there's one more thing that you need to repeat. And that is review, review, review. You want to make sure that you are looking over this estimate and that you've looked over it many, many times to ensure that everything that you want to be in there has been taken care of. Now, I know sometimes we feel that if we put absolutely everything in an estimate that we should or need in an estimate, then we'll never win a public works project. And that's probably true. And that's why we need to be able to understand estimating as an overall picture and look at it as an overall tool for our entire company. Because that one roll of visqueen that we only used half of is going to be used on the next project. And even though we've put it in our estimate, we're not going to have to actually pay for it. So being able to understand that power of mass production and mass purchase and the reduction of costs associated with being able to perform multiple projects, it's going to find its way here into our estimating that has an opportunity to benefit us in the overall scheme of our estimating process through this company instead of just looking at each individual project. So have you ever just wanted that step-by-step process of how to develop an estimate and maybe somebody right there on your shoulder helping you do that? Well, that's what I'm here for. I offer mentorship and an educational curriculum in order to be able to support you in moving from the job site into an office management position where you can create a career in estimating. So make sure to look in the description below and find our link for the Skill Builder program, where we have a library of resources for you to choose from in order to continue developing your career as a construction manager.